Dalavina guia dolosana angito talita kini ana warong ng Bula FM e Golden Point Resort basendo nambando ana here binaka.
Bula binaka na dang ko tevita utu ngoi 90 ando talita ka wale warong ng Bula FM nambando ana set.
Na dang ko makilesi wer kraki NSB ng Bula FM nambando ana set.
Hello nga ratu kitchen ng Gatumbo ando talita na warong ng Bula FM nambando ana set ngo lusu.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Tonight, Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama says Fijians shouldn't dwell on the ruins left behind by tropical cyclone Winston. Supermarket vendors say wholesale vegetable prices have tripled in some instances. And New Zealand Defence says it will stay as long as Fiji needs assistance. A woman from Koro Island is the latest victim of tropical cyclone Winston, bringing the death toll to 44. This was confirmed by the National Disaster Management Office Director Akapusitui Fangalele. Farzana Nisha has more.
The woman had been hospitalized for a while, and while details are yet to be confirmed, her death has been attributed to tropical cyclone Winston.
We already had the report about 2 days earlier. We just got the confirmation last night.
The death comes about 3 weeks after the cyclone. Meanwhile, Director National Disaster Management Akapusitui Fangalele says people shouldn't be misusing ration that's meant for needy families.
The government is trying its best to assist the people who are victims, and it should remain as that, rather than for them trying to sell or do anything else for personal gain.
The number of evacuation centers around the country has decreased to 476, with 14,799 evacuees. Preliminary damage assessments are continuing. Farzana Nisha, FBC News.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama has urged all Fijians not to dwell on the destruction left behind by tropical cyclone Winston. Speaking to people at Nambombudho village, Naitasiri, Bainimarama said we need to find our strength again because Winston wasn't the first and it won't be the last cyclone to hit Fiji. Ali Kimbia has more.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama believes the scale of damage from tropical cyclone Winston is a wake-up call that we need to take precautions before a natural disaster to avoid loss of life and property.
I want to tell us that we should be prepared at all times. Despite all the rehabilitation work that is currently ongoing, we should bear in mind that a cyclone can just form in 6 to 7 days. And if we are slow to reacting to this, we can experience the same thing as we did during Winston.
Bainimarama reflected on the losses suffered by families around Fiji. Some are mourning the loss of loved ones, others left destitute with no roof over their head, while many more have lost their livelihood. The Prime Minister says there's only one thing to do: pick up the pieces and make a new start.
All Fijians should accept what has been done is done. It is very clear that no one knows when a cyclone will hit us and the amount of damage it does, but the only thing is that we must be prepared.
More rehabilitation and relief measures are expected to be announced in the coming weeks. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
Aliki Mbia joins us live now. Aliki, how are families at Nambombudho responding to the devastation caused by tropical cyclone Winston?
Jackie, people in the district are busy working together and the focus is to try and get their children back to school. Parents and teachers are busy working together to try and rebuild the Nambombudho district school so that children will be able to return to school next week. With the Prime Minister visiting the village just yesterday, he did mention to them that the government will do whatever it takes to get the children of Nambombudho back to school. And just to let you know that the school is situated in the highlands of Naitasiri, and despite this, the school is one of the worst affected in the Eastern Division.
The destruction left behind by tropical cyclone Winston hasn't deterred parents from the surrounding 6 villages from putting this school back together. Manager Misaki Tamanra says getting classes back on track is a priority.
We will not wait for governments to come and rebuild our school. All parents have agreed that we have worked together as villages so that the education of our children is paramount.
Despite the extensive damage to the school, nearby villages of the Tekin of Nambombudo have managed to fix a few classrooms to cater for students living nearby so that school can start off this week.
We have been trying really hard to work ahead of time so that the school can start for our children. My village is also part of the school. That's why many of us are here to help in the rebuilding of the school, especially our school dining hall and dormitories.
Some Year 8 students who have returned to classes are glad the tropical cyclone Winston hasn't disrupted their education.
I
want to thank all my parents who are working hard to rebuild our school, because if they did not do it, we will not start school again.
We are having our exam this year, and with the help of our parents, we are happy because we'll have more time to prepare and finish our schoolwork.
These parents are adamant that more children will return to classes next week. This will continue until all classrooms have been repaired. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
Market vendors in Suva have confirmed that supplies from unaffected areas increased prices overnight. Shireen Sivan spoke to a number of vendors who say the wholesale price has spiked.
Market vendors are adamant the price hikes are not their fault, leading to consumers that they are having to pay more to farmers and middlemen.
Especially long bean ke daam hai $45 dozen.
Price of long bean is $45 dozen, and we can't sell it at a low price. But then people don't want to buy it because of the increase in price, so it's us who have been affected.
Suva Market Master Ashish Prasad gave us a list of prices. A bag of cucumber, which used to cost $30, now sells at $120 wholesale. Eggplants have gone from $10 to $70 a bag, while long bean that used to cost $15 a dozen has now increased to $50. Chinese cabbage before the cyclone was $30 bale, but now costs $90. One box banana now costs 4 times its original price, from $30 to $120.
One sack of cassava now is $70, and that's if it's packed in a sack of sugar, and $50 if it's packed in a sack of crushed chicken. It was earlier sold at $25 to $30, and the ones packed in the sack of sugar was $35 to $40.
Most of the suppliers are from Singatoka, Tailevu, Naitasiri, Muaniveni, Nasi, and some even from 9 miles and 8 miles in Nasinu. What they have told the vendors here is that their crops and vegetables were severely damaged by the tropical cyclone, which is why they increased the price. The vendors here are left with no choice.
The only answer we get from them is, if you want it, you take it. Otherwise, we have a lot of buyers. So these poor vendors, they have no other choice. They have to come to their demands.
Vendors are pleading with the authorities to look into the issue. Shireen Sivan, FBC News.
More than 200 contractors have applied for government tenders to rebuild homes destroyed by tropical cyclone Winston. Permanent Secretary National Disaster Management Meletim Bainimarama says companies overseas also want to build homes.
More than 24,000 houses around Fiji need rebuilding, many from the ground up. Disaster Management Permanent Secretary Meletim Bainimarama says all these homes must be strong enough to withstand Category 5 cyclones.
The contractors that are picked, they'll be picked on the understanding that they will build very fast, build a house that is sustainable and also withstand Cyclone 5 category winds, and plus the fact that they are affordable to the government, because the government at the end of the day is the one that will be looking for the money to build, reconstruct the villages.
There's tons of work to go around. Community halls, schools, health centers all need repairs. The Finance Ministry and Works Ministry will keep tabs on the quality of work by successful contractors.
The companies will be identified, maybe divisionally or by districts, But the focus is on good building, safer relocation of villages, good buildings, and of course the fastest time around.
Tenders will be awarded by the end of this month and work will be phased over the next few months depending on areas of need. Sabira Tambua, FBC News.
Still to come, sugar industry suffers millions of dollars in losses.
Yandra! I love listening to Gold FM at Golden Point Resort. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Hola, my name is General from the Creative Village. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic.
I'm Moses from Valeu. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Marida Manako. I'm from Kandavu. I like listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Tilipa from Tavwa Town. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. The sugar industry has suffered around $120 million in losses due to severe tropical cyclone Winston last month. However, as Ritika Pratap reports, assessments in the sugarcane sector continues and this figure may increase.
Executive Chair of the Fiji Sugar Corporation, Abdul Khan, says they hope to finish the assessment by next week to get a clear picture of the damage.
In terms of crop, we're looking at about $87.5 million. In terms of assistance to farmers' property, especially housing, we're looking at about roughly $12 million, which is about $3,000 for about 4,000 farmers. And then our own assets is roughly about $20 to $25 million, and that's likely to go up because we haven't finished our total review yet. We're still doing a lot of the rails, the bridges, etc. as well.
Khan says their priority was to provide affected farmers with basic necessities, and now the focus shifts to crop rehabilitation.
Talking to various people in consultation with government to see how do we actually get the crop back up again, and that's the critical area now. We know that come 2016 there's little we can do about it, but going forward, because the industry is here for the long term, from 2017 onwards we want to ensure that we have a good crop.
Khan says as far as replanting is concerned, their strategy remains getting maximum yield. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
New Zealand Defence Force personnel will be in Fiji for 42 days to help in cyclone relief efforts. New Zealand's Commander Joint Forces arrived in Suva this morning and has confirmed that the relief can be extended based on government-to-government discussions. Ritika Pratap again with this story.
Commander Joint Forces New Zealand, Major General Tim Gold, says their troops will be around for as long as the Fijian government wants them to stay.
I guess the response is largely over now and we're starting to think about recovery. So, I guess the focus of my discussions is starting to think about, how long, what are the next set of tasks that need to be done, and how does things transition from perhaps a more military type response to a more civil type response.
New Zealand High Commissioner to Fiji, Mark Ramsden, says supplies and tools to address the immediate needs of people are on board the HMNZS Canterbury.
Really focused too on trying to minimise the gap between this phase, the response phase, and the recovery phase, the rebuild phase, if you like. And that's why a lot of what Canterbury and what the engineers are doing is spanning those two things.
Commander Gold says the New Zealand Defence Forces carried out similar operations in Vanuatu same time last year when the island nation was ravaged by Tropical Cyclone Pam.
Fiji's obviously got a more robust infrastructure overall, so there's kind of more to get destroyed in some respects, but fairly similar levels of destruction. I think the difference probably is in Fiji, there are a lot more permanent type buildings anyway.
50 New Zealand line mechanics will be helping the Fiji Electricity Authority fix broken power lines from tomorrow. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
The resilience of the Fijian people is being commended after Tropical Cyclone Winston, with families in some of the worst affected areas already rebuilding. Eleanor Tarangai View with this story from Boa in Vanuatu.
A week after tropical cyclone Winston hit Kiombo village in Kumbula-Umboa, this father and daughter sat sullen outside what remained of their house. Today, though, they've put together a makeshift home with whatever was left behind. Commissioner Northern Jovesa Vodea says tenders were out for contractors to rebuild homes.
Right now we're just supplying them with tarpaulins. We're expecting tents to be coming maybe later in the week or early next week, just to have some interim measure for them to have some shelter. There was a tender called for interested companies or individuals who would like to participate, take part in the reconstruction of dwelling houses. It was closed last week.
In the meantime, people in the villages aren't just sitting around. This is the scene in almost all the villages in the Kumbulau district. Villagers say they can't wait for government assistance because they don't know when it will come. Government's home rehabilitation program is expected to kick in once all assessments on the ground have been completed and costs drawn up. Over 1,000 homes have been destroyed in the Mboa province alone, with costs running into the millions. Housing damage in the north is estimated at over $40 million, even as assessments continue. Eleanor Turangaibu, FBC News.
Land Transport Authority is tracking down vehicle permit owners illegally selling their permits. Chief Executive Naisa Tuinadeva has confirmed investigations are currently underway. Sainiani Boila has more.
Land Transport Authority Chief Executive Officer Naisa Tuinadeva has issued a stern warning to permit owners to stop selling vehicle permits.
It's wrong and totally illegal. So what is happening now are people selling, trading these permits, these taxi permits, minibus permits, a few other permits, and they are really making money out of that. See, that is wrong. Although we have the transfer clause under the law, but to deal with the permit in a way of making business and making money, that is wrong.
Permits can be sold because they remain the property of the LTA at all times, but people are being drawn in by the promise of huge profits.
So lots of money are being promised, and perhaps in the past, exchange of huge amount of money for a taxi permit or for a minibus permit.
Tuinadeva says permits can only be transferred if the permit holder is old and can't drive, has migrated, has passed away, or has a medical condition. 15 cases has been investigated by the LTA. Sainiani Boila, FBC News.
We turn to sports now. Here's Jamie with all the very latest.
Thank you, Jackie, and good evening. In sports after the break, Fiji's Sevens team battling cold in Canada. And 9 changes made to TFL Fiji Warriors. Details coming up.
मैं हूं रेहान खान गुरबो तालेबू के जैसे फेस्टिवल आई ग्रेट है गुरबो में उसी तरह मिर्ची एफएम नंबर 1 है गुरबो में
एलिन लटका में मिर्ची एफएम को लॉक कर दिया जाए मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट
हम नकाशी से साइमान है हमारा फेस्टिवल जैसे नंबर 1 है वैसे मिर्ची एफएम नंबर 1 है
माय नेम इज दिनेश हम नैंडी में काम करता है स्लीपिंग जायंट जिपलाइन में और मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट आई लाइक इट
मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट
The Telecom Fiji Warriors have made 9 changes for the World Rugby Pacific Challenge clash against Junior Japan tomorrow. Assistant coach Moses Roluni says players have been fighting for a spot this week and a much more improved performance is expected against the Cherry Blossoms. Charlie Ndadakadaka has more.
All on the ground, the Fiji Warriors made a slow start to the 2016 Pacific Challenge, but once they found their rhythm, they were hard to stop. Officials have warned players that the Junior Japan side may not be as accommodating, especially after a convincing win over Tonga A in their opening match.
They were going to be very tough. They're a lot more organised than all the island teams. You know, they're a lot more structured, play a lot more structured, and they're going to be hard to beat. And you know, they've got a good defence line.
Coach Senirusi Serubakula has reshuffled his team lineup for Game 2, the most notable being Nipi halfback Henry Seniloli getting a start and moving Serupepeli Bulerika to fly half.
Terry told him, this is their chance, so they've got to take it with, with both hands. And they've trained exceptionally well. And I think they were hoping they could get a chance last week, but it didn't happen. So this week is their chance, and hopefully they'll perform well.
Judging by the results from the first round, the clash against Junior Japan is shaping up to be the Warriors' toughest test and is expected to provide an entertaining game at the ANZ Stadium. Talento Lakavaka, FBC Sports.
We now cross live to Charlie, who is with Fiji Warriors coach Senirusi Serubakula following the team's captain's run this afternoon. Charlie.
Thanks, Jamie. The coaching staff is quietly confident about their chances tomorrow afternoon, given how things have been going in camp. I'm here with the coach Senirusi. Coach, the team made a slow start to the tournament, but a win nonetheless. What areas of concern from that match will you be focusing on in the match against Junior Japan tomorrow?
The main concern will be to have a good start. And also to be disciplined. The boys have to be disciplined in the 80 minutes, not giving away penalties and giving away possessions.
Well, there you have it. The coach for the Fiji Warriors, Senirusi Serubakula. Remember, tickets are free, so you can go and watch the action at the ANZ Stadium tomorrow. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks for that, Charlie. Now, the Vodafone Fiji Sevens side has a new challenge to deal with in Canada as it prepares for this weekend's Vancouver Sevens. With temperatures reaching as low as 7 degrees, the Ben Ryan coach side is struggling with the numbing cold. The Nandi rugby team is promising fireworks at the Cyclone Winston fundraising match against Nandrunga tomorrow. The two-match series was agreed to by the two rugby unions to raise funds for Fijians affected by Cyclone Winston. Team manager Jeff Tamata says the players are fired up and guarantees it will be a game not to be missed.
Should be expecting some new faces, some new hidden talents. They should be showcasing their talents tomorrow.
The first match will be at 11 a.m. this Saturday at Prince Charles Park in Nandi, and the second game will be played next week in Lawanga Park, Singatoka. The devastation caused by Cyclone Winston has seen help arrive from all over the globe and in many forms. Now here's the story of former New Zealand Seven star Hayden Reid, who is not only in Fiji to help rebuild, but has also taken the opportunity to impart some rugby knowledge with local Sevens club Yamadhya. Josephine Vula has more.
Today would be all about joy,
A special bond has brought Reid to Fiji, giving expert coaching tips to these Yamadhya players.
Helping these fine young men to learn more about rugby, but to also help with the new building that we're building for the Yamadhya rugby boys to stay in.
Reid decided the best way he could help after tropical cyclone Winston was to put his Sevens rugby skills to good use.
We're here in Fiji, loving Nandi and loving being with the Yamadhya boys and loving the attitude and the beautiful songs and the prayers and the blessings that we're receiving every day. So it's been a great experience.
The winger played for the New Zealand Sevens for 4 years and represented the Otago Highlanders at the Super Rugby competition in 2001.
Yeah, they have a lot of talent, they have a lot of flair and great attitudes. The main things we've been focusing on this week is getting the systems in play, getting policies in place for the boys to know their role a lot clearer on the field.
Reid flies back to New Zealand tomorrow. Josephine Vula, FBC Sports.
The Easter Volleyball Championship this month will be a selection ground for local players looking to represent the country. Fiji Volleyball Senior Vice President Taitusi Nainduki says 24 men's teams and 12 women's teams are confirmed for the annual tournament, where national selectors will pick teams to represent the country in the Oceania Volleyball Championship.
This Easter Championship is also the window for those national for the players who want to don the Oceania jersey in May. They will need to participate in the Easter Championship to qualify for the final naming of the teams for the Oceania.
The Easter Volleyball Championships will be played on March 25th and 26th at the FMF Gymnasium. That is your sports for this evening. It's back to Jackie now with business.
Fiji Broadcasting Corporation staff today donated blankets, bed sheets and toys to the CWM Hospital Children's Ward. Assistant Minister for Health, Veena Bhatnagar, says the donation will be put to good use following severe tropical Cyclone Winston.
After the devastating effects of tropical Cyclone Winston, our hospitals are in flux with more patients, more babies, and there are a lot of sufferings and there's a lot of sickness. And I believe the donation by FBC team is very, very, very timely.
More than 1,000 children are admitted at the CWM hospital in the aftermath of tropical Cyclone Winston. Mostly fine weather today, apart from a few brief showers in Suva. And temperatures by Mombasa topped off the day at 34 degrees Celsius, but all other centres were also in the low 30s. Tomorrow's forecast is for generally fine conditions over the group, and for Sunday, it's brief showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands, fine apart from isolated afternoon or evening showers elsewhere. Easterly winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas. And recapping the main stories for tonight, one more person has died from tropical Cyclone Winston, taking the death toll to 44. Prime Minister Vorengem Bainimarama says people should not dwell on the ruins left by the cyclone, and more than 200 applications from contractors to rebuild homes. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. Now to our weekly poll question. We're asking, will Fiji bounce back from tropical Cyclone Winston? To answer, visit our FBC website. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page, FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You're watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Nimo Damanda.
I'm Sarah, I'm from Tafwa, and I love listening to Today FM rocks.
My name is Freddy, I'm from Gamiatong. I listen to Mario on the traffic jam every afternoon.
Hi, my name is Salah, I live in Asinu. Today FM rocks.
My name is Denasa and I'm from Lutoka, and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Ulamila, I work at Golden Point Resort. I love listening to Today FM, it rocks in Raki Raki.
I'm Mary from Mandera. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
We love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.